Hello, and welcome. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&ChewGuy, and this is PSA 2, number 2. This is Public Service Announcement number 2. This is me going back onto the topic of the virus out of China. This is my second take on this evening because the first one I just started running in circles because there is a lot of information to cover here and a lot of thoughts I have about that information. But I am going to try to do this in a more concise, compact video so people actually watch it. So, there has been a number of developments that have... I'm not telling anyone to panic, and I don't think there's a need to panic, all right? So don't panic, but you want to keep an eye on this. You really want to keep an eye on this, and I'm about to run through some reasons why. As of right now, in the United States, we have basically gone unscathed. There are 11, possibly as of today, 12 cases in the United States. The only news about those cases thus far were 10 and 11, or maybe it was 11 and 12, were taken to the hospital in bad condition, and that is all that is known. Now, I have posted in the community page a number of times about this, and there is a video before this one going over things that were known at that time. Since then, the situation in China has gotten worse. Here, not so much. This is what you want to watch for. If this happens, then, again, I'm not saying it's time to panic, but some planning may be needed. Planning for yourself and loved ones, and etc. What to look for is if the 11 or 12 patients, U.S. patients inside the United States, start dying. If they start dying, that means our advanced medical community in this country does not have a handle on what to do. If they start dying, that is a problem. If people start suggesting or saying, or you get the idea that the condition of these people or news about these 12 people are, the news is being suppressed, or reporters are asking what their status is, and you have guys in masks saying, we really can't comment, then we may have to do a third video here, which I'm sort of thinking is going to happen no matter what, about what maybe you should start thinking about. So in the United States, we're good at the moment. The only danger to U.S. nationals at this time that I know of is there are a second round of flights going to China to evacuate more U.S. citizens, and there is a cruise ship docked in a port in Japan that has a lot of Americans on it, and it has been quarantined. Evidently, there are 60 plus confirmed cases on the boat, and there are, I think, over 4,000 people being quarantined on it. Immediately in my mind, I'm wondering, wait, you're quarantining these people in rooms that share an air ventilation system. The U.S. government, it is starting to show signs. Now, they did restrict all traffic coming into the country from Asia into 11 airports that have screeners. The screening has now become more advanced because of the length a person from infection to symptoms. Okay? I'm not exactly sure what that advanced screening system is made up of, but it is in place, and all East Asian air traffic is coming through the 11 airports that have CDC officials with that scanning technology in place. But at the same time, although the U.S. government's done that, and that doesn't really that's not too bad. Like, that's not like me going, whoa, wait, they're doing what? At the same time, people evacuated from China, and there has been quite a number now, are being interred in quarantine on U.S. military bases. And I believe there's upwards of 3 of them now, 2 in California and another one in Arizona, might be New Mexico. Quarantining people. At first, the quarantines were, oh, well, you just hang out here at our expense, and oh, no, you can leave if you want. Yeah, somebody actually tried to leave. That whole line changed real quick. As soon as somebody actually tried to leave, they're like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're on ice for the next 14 days. So that's like a little bit, they're quarantining people. And now there has been announced that there is a second round of flights going into China evacuating more U.S. citizens. And I'm not talking like the first round people from the embassy and whatnot. These are people, U.S. nationals that evidently work and live in China. They are now telling them to go to collection points, which will be picked up and taken to an airport, and they are flying them out and quarantining them. And that is all going on our end thus far. China is a different story, and China is a little disturbing. The doctor that originally snuck out the first footage, the footage of body bags being put on chairs in emergency waiting rooms and being piled in vans outside emergency waiting rooms, that doctor has died. Now, he was disappeared, but it has come to light today that he has died. Now, the problem with this is that, originally people were like, oh, well, this will be like the flu. It'll affect the old and infirm and the young and vulnerable. Yeah. Number one, there were already reports that like 35-year-olds were keeling over. But now there's proof, because the doctor that was the whistleblower raising the alarm about this virus, after he did that footage, they arrested him in the middle of the night. And once he got to his containment, whatever, he came down with symptoms. And today he died, and he is 34. And evidently before he died, or before he was infected, the picture of health. Okay? So the doctor that raised alarm about this has died. And not only that, he's in the prime of his life and was in good health before infected. Moving on. Now, there are various levels of how much can we believe this, because we are dealing with sort of a black hole that is China under normal circumstances, and now even worse. So the official number of dead, mostly in China, is 563. All right? Back when the official number was 304. And I am referring to notes here because there's a lot of numbers. There is a online media outlet out of China. It's actually a multinational. I believe it's based out of Hong Kong. It's called Tencent. Okay, I am familiar with the name at least. I didn't know exactly what it was. I'm guessing it's probably publicly traded. Tencent has online like news sites, basically, mostly in East Asia. Most of them are in China or Hong Kong. They have a virus tracker, like a updated live virus tracker, sort of like the presidential poll tracker, only for a virus. So back when the official death count was 304, they changed it to 304. And the infected number was quickly changed to 14,446. And you're going, why is he saying changed quickly? I'm saying it was changed quickly too because for a period of time, quite a number of minutes, somebody at Tencent goofed up and put the wrong numbers, supposedly. So the official death count that was changed to was 304. What it had been moments before, long enough that people got still images of it, was 24,589 dead. That's 25,589 dead, not 304. And before they changed it over to 14,446 cases, for a short period, it read the infected as 154,023. It was then switched to the proper numbers. And since then, although repeatedly asked by about every international news organization on the face of the planet, Tencent has declined to comment. And also sort of given a vibe, body language, we don't know what you're talking about. What? Huh? Still shots. This is rumor. XI, however you want to pronounce his name, the big guy in China, the president of China and the head of the Communist Chinese Party. Nobody's been able to locate him for 3 or 4 days now. Now, this is coming through outlets that I would not overly trust. That said, they're being awful public about it and seem awful sure of themselves. They are getting it from internal Chinese media. Evidently, the president has not been. Now, I'm not suggesting, nor are they, that he has gotten infected and died or anything. But I think what is being implied is the president has gone to a secure location. He's gone to ground. More rumor out of India this time. Now, India, a lot of India that we see on the news and magazines is third worldish. All right? Or just flat out third world. That said, India has very advanced scientific communities. Okay? Thus, that is why India is a nuclear power. All right? Evidently, a laboratory in India last week got a sample of this virus and took it apart. And while taking apart the DNA of this, realized that there were sequences inserted into it that were from HIV. What does this mean? This means that this virus was engineered. If that was true, that means this virus was engineered. So I heard this, and it was through not overly trustworthy sources, and I didn't say anything on this channel because I was like, I'm not going to pass that on. That's way out there. That night, I am watching the evening news, and they are talking about the infected Americans in Chicago, I believe it was. And they're like, surprisingly, the two are responding well to so-and-so medication. And you'll never guess what it's for. HIV. They're treating at least one person out of the two, I believe, that are in Chicago with HIV drugs. And the person's responding to it. So now I'm thinking, maybe that Indian story was... Look, as I said at the very beginning, I don't think there's any reason to panic. That said, I am not a people person in my day-to-day activities. I am in a metropolitan area. However, I probably see less face-to-face than 5 people on any given day. It's just the way I am. If I was an outgoing person, an extrovert, and living in, let's say, San Francisco, in all seriousness, I would not go out of my way to be in amongst large groups of people. I really wouldn't. Just as a precaution, I mean, extra precaution, and me saying this may even panic someone, but you want to think, like, do I really need to go to, so, like, if you put, like, $90 out on a concert ticket, yeah, you know what, I'd weigh that too. I'd be like, $90 on the outside chance. You got to look what governments are doing. Now, in China, all kinds of craziness is happening, okay? Stuff has been leaking out. Usually, it's body bags being piled up in emergency room waiting rooms around people actually waiting. Or in vans outside the emergency rooms. There has been film of Chinese military police forcibly removing people from buildings, saying that they had to go into quarantine. The Chinese army is now on the streets of at least Wuhan. They are now enforcing a quarantine. And when I say army, I mean they are marching down the center of streets, talking over loudspeakers, telling everybody to get inside. It's whatever o'clock. There have been medics arrested for spreading rumors and disinformation. Evidently, there were some medics talking to people outside of the quarantine zone somehow, and they were telling those people what was going on. Those guys were arrested. The doctor that died had been arrested. You know, you look at what's going on, and then you have stuff like it. For instance, over Wuhan and surrounding villages now, there are swarms of drones, like the drones, 4-quad drones, with tanks, little tanks of disinfectant spray underneath them, and they are spraying down streets from the air. To me, nothing says panic like unleashing swarms of drones spraying disinfectant from the air. And this is all disturbing because, really, at the end of the day, we're dealing with the Chinese Communist authoritarian government. And those guys, they're not really known to panic at a drop of a dime here, all right? And it would appear that they are panicking. So, take this all into account. I'm going to cut this off. The last one went to like 25 minutes, and I was just running in circles by the end of it. Another thing to watch before I go, though, and I do have to mention it because it's sort of newsworthy itself, but it's not getting any attention. As I had said before, the flu season in the United States this year is really, really bad. We got a bad strain. Well, the death count now is up over 8,000. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, that's bad. Why are we hearing about this Chinese thing and not that? Because with flu strains, since they are a yearly deal and some are worse than others, and we know how they peter out, we sort of know how it's going to go. Unlike the Chinese virus, which we don't know where that's going to go. It's the unknown that's the fear here, all right? And that's a case of a lot of things. The flu, we know in a month or two will start slowing down in its infection rates and it'll die out. That said, there are people now, it's coming to light that the flu, there are people not in the normal categories for victims dying, okay? We're talking people not elderly, infirm, and not young and, underlying health conditions. There are people in supposedly not in danger age groups dying. And most of these people have flu shots or have had flu shots. Now, the problem with flu shots in this country is the flu shot this year was made off the strain from last year. Really, it only 100% protects from last year's strain. The problem with that being is every year there is a slight change in the strain. This year, it would seem the shot made from last year is having little or no effect. And with that, because I had to round this out to close to 20 minutes, I will go. Keep an eye on what is said about the 11 or 12 American patients inside the United States. If they start to die, well, if they start to die, I'll probably be back here with a number 3. But that would be a very, very bad sign. I do hope you all are well. Do take care of yourselves, and God bless.